welcome again, everybody, to episode 4 of the Weekly Joe podcast. This is your baseball. It's the best weekly podcast dedicated to Alabama baseball on the whole internet. I'm Paul Graham here again this week with my good friends Hunter Johnson, wave to the camera, Drew Champlin, lower left, regular guest, and we'll make him official. We'll give him the job. We'll put him on the credits. Dr. Meghan Dennis. I think it's very important we have a doctor here tonight since we're going to be discussing a lot of medical issues. And our good friend Roger Myers here as always with insight on all the games. He was sitting through all 4 of them this week. Very eventful week. Before we really get into this week, I really want to give a shout out to our sponsors who jumped on board this week. Gatorade Zero, the blue is best when you have a situation like our guys had this weekend. Premium saltine crackers. Imodium AD, very good. AD,
yeah, it works.
AD, I don't know, maybe he can pick up a little NIL on this. And your favorite chicken soup of some sort. I prefer the cream of chicken. Cream of chicken or double noodle is kind of my go-to. You guys in a food poisoning or a recovery situation, what's your go-to there?
Just regular chicken noodle soup, chunky preferably.
Chunky? Okay, you're going chunky, Drew?
Not much of a soup guy. I like the tomato bisque, especially that at Nuke's, but that's not really, I wouldn't go there when I'm sick.
Yeah. Megan, if you're, dehydrated, losing 8 pounds over 24 hours, what are you going with to get back?
I'm just going to chug Gatorade.
Roger?
Truthfully, I've never been sick. I don't know. Never missed a day of school or day of work from being sick.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
all those runs around the quad and those fist bumps, they keep you healthy.
That's right. All right. Well, I am taking the advice of authorities, and I'm masking today. I really hate that my co-panelists are not keeping the rest of us safe. I will do this up to a point until I'm tired of it, and but we will get going. Very eventful.
Well, I did during the pandemic.
Very eventful week in Alabama baseball. When we last spoke, we were prepping for a series at Mississippi State. I think we did this last Wednesday night. Little did we know that 7 days later we would be dealing with probably one of the worst plagues ever to hit an athletic team in the history of Alabama athletics. Food poisoning, right? Food poisoning. We think it's a virus. Dr. Meghan Dennis, again, who is officially a doctor, has the hat, the tassels, everything. Dr. Dennis, what's your opinion on this medically?
Food poisoning, and the most brutal food poisoning I think maybe ever to exist, coming out of Columbus, Mississippi. Right.
Anybody out there got a name you want to get? What do you want to call this plague? I mean, it's got to get its own name. The football team has plays that the goal line stand.
Depends on how the season goes the rest of the year.
All right. So what do we want to call it? I've got a few. You got any?
Starkville shits. I don't know if I can say that on here or not.
I think you can. I got the Fairfield Funk. That's maybe one.
Columbus Contagion.
The Columbus Cooties.
Columbus Croup. The Dude's Revenge. I don't know. I guess we could go with if this is a clean version. I did see at some point in one of the podcast promos that this was rated clean. So I don't know if we can do that. I don't know.
Just Duty Noble, but with duty spelled D-O-O-D-Y.
The majority of it was throwing up, and then that came later, a little bit later.
Yeah.
It hit hard as well, though.
Yeah. So the origin, I guess, is probably Thursday night meal, maybe at the hotel, or is that kind of the consensus? You've talked to a lot of parents or players, Roger. What's kind of the background on this for folks?
Seems like they were going that, or possibly Friday morning breakfast, but there was, the first 4 that the target group or whatever, the first 4 that got
patient 0.
controlled group.
The controlled group. They got sick early, and like people that didn't eat that did not get sick.
People that had the fish instead of the chicken.
Yeah, it's like the movie Airplane. Yeah,
Or like AD and ordered DoorDash, and the pasta. But there was some that did eat, that didn't get sick. But they've probably narrowed it down pretty much to that, and probably with some pretty nasty bugs in the kitchen and
or something at the hotel.
Not necessarily one dish, just like it was so probably below standard that
Right.
anything. But it sounds like the Thursday night Alfredo was probably the biggest.
Probably, yeah. Yep. Impact Friday night was, well, I mean, probably a lot greater than just the visible signs of the handful of guys that weren't even there. A lot of guys playing through it, and we had no mojo that night. Not to take away from State, they pitched extremely well. His name Stephen or Stephen, their Friday night guy. Between him and Sinja on Friday and Saturday, they walked 3 guys and just pretty much shoved it for 13, 14 innings between them. And you can just tell. I mean, the bad impact on the team as far as just there's no energy. The Saturday game in the sun. I mean, Saturday and Sunday. Really tough on those guys because at that point you're so dehydrated, you've lost everything, and you can't get enough fluids to keep you alive.
Some of them couldn't keep any fluid down.
And can't keep it down. Yeah, you can't keep it down either. And so of course we see just bizarre lineups. I mean, we got Max Grant at first base. I don't know whether he probably had borrowed someone's first baseman's mitt. We've got Bronny in center field, who did admirably out there, honestly. We never saw a pitcher go out in the field anywhere. We almost did, I think.
That's what I was really hoping for, man. I really wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Braylon Myers was really excited about the opportunity, and then it got taken from him.
But then we sent a catcher out there.
But Luke Vaughn got the call instead.
Yeah, he got the call. Yeah. Ever seen anything like this? Think anything equivalent? I mean, you hear about the Jordan flu game, but this was like if everyone else around him, if Longley and Pippen and everyone around him, he got sick.
And the thing is, there's not a protocol for it. Like, because it just never happens. And then when it does, you kind of don't know what to do. And the conference kind of was not very proactive on it. It doesn't sound like Mississippi State really wanted to be that helpful.
Right. And I guess, devil's advocate, if I'm Mississippi State, I'm trying to position myself to, win conference games, get, good seeding in the tournament, a regional seed, maybe get a host. It's not my problem, really, is it? I mean, I can be a nice guy, but I mean, if I'm their coach and they're on my ass, wanting to make sure, I got to do better this year than I did last year, and the expectations there are very high. I guess I can't blame them, but it does sound like maybe there's an appeal to the conference initially, and if you've got 9 bodies, you can probably go. I mean, it's just it's probably just your own tough luck. Any thoughts on that?
I think the closest.
Go ahead, Megan. You go ahead.
I think the closest, would be during COVID with NC State and everything with Vandy.
Right.
But that's a whole different set of circumstances, and it goes down to if the SEC's whole job is part of player safety and welfare. Well, I would argue they kind of failed on that front of not giving us any option other than, find 9 guys, run them out there.
Trying to get them out. Yep.
Florida apparently had the same type situation, and there's
right. Have you
Sunday?
Yeah, you mentioned during the COVID era, and I mean, a lot of those games would just simply get canceled or postponed. I mean, have you ever seen something like this where a team was so decimated by sickness? I mean, you see injuries. You ever seen this in another sport that you can remember?
Colin Sexton.
The 1 on 3. A little bit self-inflicted. Yeah. All right. And so the other thing I was going to ask you guys, all right, give me your worst sick story, whether it's sports related, personal, your worst sick story. Real quick, Hunter, what's the worst you've ever been?
Summer after my sophomore year of high school, I was having I had a headache and I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I drank some Sprite and threw it right back up. Went to the doctor and had a spinal tap, and I had spinal meningitis. Just threw up and had headaches for 2 days. And then it was the same. We were playing in the Dizzy Dean World Series. I was supposed to start game 1, and Doc said I could go play. Well,
You're good.
when you have a spinal tap, it never clotted.
No.
So I just had spinal headaches whenever I would stand up for more than 5 minutes. So
Right.
that sucked.
That's right. Drew, you got one?
Yeah, I don't get sick a whole lot. I mean, I survived coronavirus twice, but I think back to a time when I was in 7th grade and we just started baseball practice, and I went to our first practice, and I was not good, but I was hitting the ball really well, and I was excited. We were going to have practice all next week, and the next thing you know, I get bronchitis, and I missed a full week of school, and I came back and I was just never the same. So I feel like my athletic fortunes really changed that week.
Kind of robbed. Yeah. Megan, you got one? Academic related, athletic related, anything?
Nothing interesting. I think most of mine are probably hangover related, so that's
well, good. Yeah, that's even better. Roger, you got one? You see, you don't get sick.
I really don't.
Yeah. All right. I got two, and I'll make them real brief. But the one athletic related, senior year of high school, I think I was patient zero at my school. We had a Friday night, Saturday night, back to back basketball game weekend, both on the road. The person was down in Greenville, Alabama. We went, got there, waiting on the girls getting in, whatever, go and warm up, and I'm just not, and I'm getting the flu. I mean, you kind of know it, and try to probably played like 2 or 3 minutes. Can't remember any of it. Got pulled, just sat on, just couldn't. But anyway, my dad drove me home probably by about the third quarter, and I was just like shaking and shivering. It's cold. It's the middle of probably February. Went to the couch and was totally out of it for like the next 3 days, missed the next game. And then it just went through the whole school. Everybody, it's kind of like this. Everyone got sick. We had games probably like the next Tuesday, and 2 or 3 other guys were out. We're just having to kind of grind through it. The only other with food poisoning, I was taking the CPA exam and woke up the morning, the Wednesday morning. You had to take the first round and had it. And but you still had to go because you had to take every part of it to make any of it count. And so I kind of had to grind through that for 3 days. So but yeah, it's a terrible feeling. It's even worse when you're a college athlete and you've got to do that. You got to play at this very high level out in the sun on these 2 days in particular. So, if I'd have told you, say, Friday, hey, 30 of your 35 guys on your travel squad and a bunch of your coaches are going to get deathly ill over the next 48 hours, but you're going to go 2-2 in these games through next Tuesday, would you just taken that?
I think I would have taken it.
Yeah. So quite the turn of events that we're sitting here talking about a 2-game winning streak after what these guys have gone through and kind of how they grinded through it. And we'll talk a lot about, particularly the Sunday game and then what they did last night, because it's so improbable. Our listeners, we know, we were there and we talked about, we've seen it up close and personal, but this was a bad situation. And Hunter, you mentioned on the show last week as we were doing predictions and we were all gumping our way to, convincing ourselves we're going to win 2 out of 3 on the road. You said we could get swept in this. Well,
I knew what was coming. So,
but you almost nailed it. But the fact that we didn't is pretty amazing based on what we went. Drew, your good friend Mark Jennings, my understanding is on this. Has he had any luck with his attorney trying to get to the bottom of this?
Yeah, I don't want to violate any HIPAA laws or any lawyer patient comfort whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least if the Courtyard by Marriott and the Fairfield Marriott over there were owned by different hotel chains within the next 5 years.
Right.
It's something that could be going pretty bad. But as far as the series goes, I predicted 1 out of 3. That's what happened. But I was close, like Hunter, to almost saying in the sweep, just because weird things happen in baseball.
They do.
And that's what happened to us. And, I listened to the game on the radio Friday, or most of it. I turned it off after 8-0. But I was driving to North Carolina. I watched it on Saturday. They may very well have beaten us in those two games, the first two games, because they have a pretty good team, two good pitchers at home. But I really wish we could have played them at full strength. I think Saturday especially. But we would have missed the Max Grant weekend. And I know we'll talk more about that as we get into the podcast.
Right. Max Grant Legacy weekend, as it turned out to be. And it's turned into William Hammader Legacy Week. He's settling all family scores through in these little small towns the last few days. On to the games. Friday night, as you mentioned, kind of over before it started by the we're down 12-0 in the fourth inning before we can really get going. Greg Ferrone just never looked comfortable out there. You saw the one pitch where he kind of lost his balance and couldn't get it to the plate. You don't see Greg walk a lot of leadoff guys. You don't see Greg get flustered when guys get on base like a lot of our guys do, unfortunately. And you saw that kind of right away in this game, I thought. And you felt like something was off. You had no idea, aside from, we knew a few guys that had not even gone there because they were sick. But probably the first outing really where we've seen Greg kind of be, human or, kind of regress back to the mean. And you're going to get that in the SEC. You're just, I think Greg ended up ill as well. I think, did he not, Roger? I remember. And Colson comes in and doesn't have much more success either. So it really, it's really just a function of we walked 5 guys, we hit 3 guys, and their guy like Kale, was it Kale? I think he says it Kale.
Cal Steven is what Roger Hoover said.
Cal Steven.
How it looks, yeah.
He goes 5 innings. He scatters 7 hits, walks 3 guys, strikes out 6. I mean, just a very efficient outing. We're pretty much doomed from the start in this one. I'm afraid. Ian Petruss had a good game. Gage had a couple of hits, but up and down the order. That game, you just take it, you flush it, and you're like, okay, we took it. We took one hard on Friday night. We got 2 to get them back. Well, then you show up Saturday, and we were kind of knowing what's going on. But imagine being out there and you get that lineup tweeted out, and you look and it's Max at first, and it's we got Bronny in center, and it just kind of goes on from there. The fact you were even in that game and somewhat competitive is probably pretty remarkable. And they got 4 runs late to kind of pull away. Not a bad outing by Zane. He's pretty solid. I mean, again, we kind of expect a lot from Zane because we've seen it. Go ahead, Roger.
He was very sick also.
Yeah, very, very sick. Real pale.
At 5:30 up until about an hour before the game started.
Right.
Over on the sick bus.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he looked like hell, but he battled through. He, like you said, he threw pretty dang good considering.
Yeah.
And even if he was well, that was not an awful performance.
No. It was a hot day. I mean, it had to be mid 80s. It said 82 there. It's they're where they warm up, and the bullpen area is all turfed, and you're in the sun on that side. So I mean, it's when you're getting hot, you're getting real hot. And yeah, he was kind of white as a sheet, but worked through it. LeBron in center field. What did you think of that? How'd you see that? Nice diving play. It looked like he'd done that before.
Best shortstop and best center fielder in the league. But he played a ton of shortstop center field in high school.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. High school team, he had a high school teammate that's a freshman shortstop at Miami now.
Okay.
So he played both, which is part of the reason he wasn't quite as highly rated as he deserved to be, I believe, because at least in high school ball, he played a good bit of center field. He looks like a natural. I mean, you could stick him anywhere on the field.
Yeah, he looks like he play anywhere, right? They scatter 8 hits. Durangelo, Sinja. The E is not long. It's kind of sour. Sinja is actually how you say it. Good outing for him. He's the lefty righty guy. he really only threw lefty to a few guys in the first inning. It was like it was. I kind of expected him to switch it up. He went righty most all the game. I don't know if that's his kind of his mojo, if he's sticking lefty, or some days he just feels it lefty. But we'd have righties up there, he's throwing lefty. He wasn't switching around as much as I thought. Any thoughts on that? If you know much about him?
I feel like towards the end of last year, I remember them saying he was doing that as well, but I think that's where my knowledge of this kid stops.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I've seen him.
Whatever he feels like, he gets out there and he throws to Petrut's lefty, hits him.
Yeah,
you know, and he only threw to 3 batters in the first because Gage grounded out, Petrut's got hit, and then Bronny hitting a double play.
Yeah,
so
right.
And then it was either the second or third inning, he went strictly right the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever changed up after that.
I think Max Grant's home run off of him was lefty.
Huh. What did they do?
So
yeah, it was a 3-1 fastball from the left side, and he just crushed it. And then I think he was mostly righty, if not all the rest of the way.
Then went righty the rest. Okay, yeah.
In that third inning too, the home run, and then Braun and Cade both had hits, and then Mac hit that liner in the center that we gotten down and scored a couple of runs, and guy made a good play on it.
Yeah. Third time I think I've seen him pitch. He pitched he threw an inning or two in the fall scrimmage before the 23 season. He threw against us at home last year. I think we knocked him out pretty quick, if I remember right, last year. This is by far the best I've seen him. Guy's got great stuff. I mean, a lot of upside, and I think he's going to be, he's got a future. Let's put it that way. He's 7-1 now. Had really kind of been throwing in the Sunday slot some for them. They moved him up to Saturday. I think now they've kind of settled him into that. Now, the good thing is, with them, and they've been one of these teams that's kind of been TBA on Sunday or at least one day of the weekend. They don't have a lot of pitching depth beyond those guys. I mean, it was kind of a parade of fairly average arms and nobody really overwhelming beyond that. Obviously Friday and Saturday we couldn't get to them. We just didn't have the mojo to do it. But how important on Saturday was to get out to a quick start like that with the Max Grant homer and then just jumping on the guys and getting the 4-0 lead.
You mean on Sunday?
On Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a 3-run home run from Max Grant of all people. I mean, yeah. I think we gave up a few solo home runs on Sunday, but we had been. It seems like we had been the team just to hit the solo home run.
Right.
And then your 9-hole hitter who has about 15 at bats all year, or in 5 hits and 3 of them are home runs. Just he got all the ones Saturday. He got enough of the ones Sunday. And it's just, I think those 3-run home runs are just big kind of game changers, and it just really propelled us, I think, in that game.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hunter.
But Paul, was it somebody in our little group, like when he hit the ball, it was like, oh, dang, long foul ball.
Yeah, it looked like foul ball. Yeah.
It's going. And then it in that corner very well.
It is. And there's no foul ground in that corner. So when they look up and they're not going to catch it in that corner because if so anything else you think, well, hell, it's just foul, but it just kept going. I mean, he tanked that thing pretty good. You mentioned the solo homers. One of them came because Hess had a guy on. I can't remember how he got on. He picked him off. He caught him leaning, and that was really big. I thought because hey, give up a solo homer here, no big deal. Normally he's getting hit with guys. He's getting a couple guys on base, but a little bit like Braylon later in the game kept giving up the solo shot, or I think it was Braylon gave a couple kind of late in the game.
But Hess was as good as he'd been since Indiana.
Yeah,
sure. And had he not, he cramped up and wanted to go back out, and they They chose not to put him here, but he thought he did a great job considering.
His outing. I mean, so he goes 62 pitches in 4 innings. His biggest issue this year to me has been command of not the fastball so much, but the breaking ball and the slider. He went heavy on the breaking ball. So I'm talking about the 75 to 78, spinner, not so much the slider, 84 to 86. And so I thought that having command of that thing really supplemented, or what I'm trying to say. It gave him a whole nother dimension that I really hadn't seen him have. I don't know if that was a decision by the coaches, if it was Matt calling the game still.
Yes.
Yes.
That it. Yeah, I mean, that was great. I mean, guys, we were up there trying to come up with a different nickname than Heater, like or something.
Spinner.
Spinner instead of Heater. But Chris Kenty mentioned this last night too, and it made a lot of sense. It's like, maybe being sick kind of slow. I mean, we've talked many times about his max effort on every single.
Absolutely, yeah.
Serena Williams grunt with everything he goes, and it seems like, of course, we were a little further away than normal, but we didn't seem to hear that or see that,
right?
And that maybe, hopefully, he can take that forward to this week and maybe just slow things down a little bit and not realize he doesn't have to throw with everything he has on every single pitch.
Right. 62 pitches in a 4-inning effort for him is, way outlier for him. I think, based on what we've seen before. Normally he's pulling up in the 80s or the 90s, and that's what's usually getting him, is just the pitch count. He's just running them up because he's getting a lot of 3-ball counts, but a lot better command. It was really unfortunate because he probably had 2 more innings in him with the pace he was going, and it turned out fine because Braylon, Braylon gave out the 2 homers later, but really shoved those first 2 innings, and
it was great. The 20 pitches, 6 up, 6.
Yep. So real critical we got that out of them, that inning. But I think has kind of set the tone. With the bats, you get the like I said, the kind of the Max Grant, the Max Grant game, and then Bryce hits that home run late that kind of extended it a little bit. It was kind of an oppo left. You don't see him hit many oppo. You're usually going to see him go go on a dead pull when he hits them out. We eke out 12 hits. They walked 4 of us. They hit us a couple of times. I thought they hit us 3 times because they hit Mac a bunch. State kind of played in our hands a little bit. They did not play well defensively. Booted a couple. They got credited 2 errors. I think they maybe could have had another one. But one of them was kind of a two-run issue kind of late in the game. The other thing is that their base running, they got the guy picked off, I mentioned, and they followed up with a home run. I mean, that's a run, should have been on the board. They had a guy kind of get a little bit too stray off a second toward third, gotten run down, and they got him later in the game. So we get 2 of their guys off the bases. So a little bit uncharacteristic considering.
It was the same guy, too.
Same dude, yeah. Same dude. So he probably sat the rest of the game. And then, like I mentioned before, they parade out 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 pitchers, and just can't really get anyone to really settle things down. We got to a little bit on all of them in that game. So really big win for us. I mean, probably, I don't know, Drew, most important Alabama baseball win since blank.
Gosh.
I should have prepped you for that one.
Yeah, most important. I don't know, the Friday South Carolina game. I mean, wasn't that a game that we were down by, or the Thursday South Carolina game? Yeah. Feels like that was a game we were down by 2 or 3 early on, and that we just kind of slugged our way through. Obviously, the Sunday Arkansas game or the Sunday Texas A&M game.
It reminded me a lot of the Thursday night Vanderbilt game last year, where everybody's kind of counting you out, and yet you have a statement win, and let's see if this can propel us moving forward.
Right. And that was the day after, Bo had been fired that day or the day before. And we came out and just pounded them that night. We kind of settled back the next night. They got us back, and then we got them Sunday. I kind of thought of that Sunday game being the Sunday Vandy game is the one that kind of came to mind for me. Megan, you think of one bigger than that, or as improbable as that one?
Well, just echo. I think it was needed. We did our job.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way.
Right. In summary, 30 something guys probably were eventually affected by this, probably the whole team in one way or another. I mean, it just kind of bounced through the whole team.
I got an improbable win for you. Sorry, Paul, but
yeah, go
I have
ahead.
a better answer.
Uh-huh.
The Friday game, as far as kind of a runaway win, the Friday game at Arkansas in 2021, when we won like 16-1 or 18-1, or even last year when we beat them pretty bad on Friday.
Yeah.
But I think that first one, but that's probably that. No one was sick, but no one thought we were going to do that. So
right.
Now that I had a few seconds to think about it, other than when you put me on the spot, I think I kind of think about those games.
Yeah.
11 on that one. That day.
Yeah. But the fact you did this on the road, I mean, again, there could have easily been a letdown, or at least a tendency for the team to be like, just get me the hell out of here in my own bed, get me home. I gotta, and then knowing you got Troy on Tuesday, which is a pretty damn good team that has fought us like hell every time we've gone head to head with them. Almost ruined our season last year. And just knowing that's ahead of you. I thought, kudos to, first of all, Sean Stryker, we talked about. I think I tweeted out the meme of the Popeyes employee that was, worn out after they had sold all the chicken sandwiches. And it was like, that was Sean after this, right? Dealing with this with the whole team. At some point, Roger, we had 15, 20 guys in the emergency room getting IV fluids.
24. 24 guys.
24 guys. So, this, I think Roger mentioned on Saturday, the first bus arrived, maybe we had 15, 16 guys on it. So it was a yeoman's effort
What was the position breakdown, batters and pitchers of that 16? Because I'm trying to think of what would we have gone with.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like
7 position players and 9 pitchers?
So we were dangerously close to starting a pitcher.
Yeah. Gage, Hampshire was one of the ones sick on Friday night. It didn't. So Gage and Hammy and Zane Adams, of course, this was
and Ian.
Hess was not there on Saturday and came on Sunday, and the Struts had to leave the game. We're talking about Saturdays, right?
About Saturday, yeah.
That was Rob turned in the lineup and he told Lamonis, he said, I think this might be what it's going to be, but some of these guys are not here yet.
I think 4 of them were supposed to be coming.
And we're still there. Yeah. TJ, I saw TJ before the game he got to the part, he didn't play. Looked really bad. He was just fighting. He was out there stretching a little bit. Wasn't happening. Yeah. And some guys we just didn't even see all weekend. So again, improbable how well that weekend went. Getting one there against that team the way they've been playing probably was not an awful weekend. Getting one under these circumstances, I think is kind of above the above what we could have expected. Let's talk about the dude. We mentioned we were talking a bit beforehand. My first time there was incredible. Roger, you've been there a few times. The new stadium, the new dude, as they call it, opened in 2019. The attendance at this game on Saturday, I don't know what's going on in town there. It wasn't like graduation there. Yeah, they were having some sort of event. There were like 14,300 people there. Their largest crowd of the year. I think the 5th largest in the new dude. The largest, they actually had 16,200, 300 for an Ole Miss game last year, in probably a Saturday night or Friday night. Just an incredible college baseball park. I looked up AAA ballparks, and there are only maybe 1 or 2 even in the country of the 30 or 30 plus AAA ballparks that have a larger capacity than the dude. This is AA parks. Birmingham here is 8,000, maybe thereabout.
Yeah, something like that.
Montgomery's 6,000. I don't know what Huntsville is.
500, I think they said, or so.
Something like that. Yeah. Hoover Met. I think the record at the Hoover Met was one of those, maybe one of those Jordan games or a Bo Jackson game years ago. And, I think they can get 13, 15,000 there when they really squeeze it. But this place is incredible. I mean, they did a great job on the redo. Totally panoramic. I mean, you can walk all the way around it without, ever really missing anything. The lounges and the setup out there, I mean, it's kind of legendary. There were probably 1,000 students on that little plaza under the scoreboard on Saturday, just out there having a good time. Music's real well done. The video board is great. All the little stuff that everybody does between innings was great. But the kind of cool thing I thought, and I didn't realize it, is everybody kind of brings in a cooler with a. And maybe they got limits on it or whatever. But I mean, I went down and on Sunday, I'm sitting after the rain delay. I'm sitting on the row across. And I look over there. There's about 6 or 8 bottles of Red Stripe. I'm like, somebody, you think about.
They didn't check anybody's anything.
No, it's a little bit like NASCAR does. So, I told Evelyn, I was like, hey, everybody ought to go to a game there. Every athletic administrator for baseball. And look at what they do there, because I think you would take away 10 or 15 ideas from the way they do things there. Now, you're not going to get 14, 15,000 people to games like they do necessarily. I mean, that's kind of their thing there, but they really do it in a way that makes it. I mean, every one of those games was an event. I mean, it's a big deal.
I was very impressed with, have been in the past too, with all the staff and
just nice as they can be. Yeah.
Very helpful, and very knowledgeable baseball people, the fans, like the stuff
absolutely.
Students were doing there was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. And the concessions, there's plenty of them. You walk in, you grab what you want, you walk right out. I mean, there's no lines, it's kind of maddening lines that we have at the Joe or the Bryant Denny. So they figured it out. Kudos to them for how they do things there. It kind of brings to mind. I saw today. I think A&M has had announced they're doing a big facilities plan, which they're always doing. I think I read $70 million for improvements at their stadium, the baseball stadium. Are we? It'd be hard to get to do what the dude has done. They're gonna upgrade. Arkansas is gonna upgrade. Are we gonna get into an arms race in baseball, you think? And are we equipped for that?
We probably are going to get in one, and I don't think we're equipped for it.
I was going to say, yeah. So it's another challenge that we might have there.
A&M, like I was there last year, and I mean it's good, it's big, and and they fill it up,
right,
for what they're thinking about doing. But
yeah. Hunter, you've been there before. You thoughts on it? I mean, you've been there.
Yeah, I thought it was the best. I went for a game. It was probably 2020 when we played over there.
Yeah,
and thought it was the nicest college baseball stadium I'd ever been to. Was really impressed with setting the outside. Also went to one of the club levels. It was really, really nice.
Yeah. Anyway, good event. I mean, I highly recommend anyone listening here, if you're not a parent or a former player, just go. Rando Saturday, go on a Saturday when it's when they get it revved up. Just go. It's not far. I mean, it's 80 miles from Tuscaloosa or whatever. So anyway, we get Mississippi State 14-10 now in the SEC. They finish up with at Arkansas this weekend, so that'll be tough. Then they get 3 at home with Missouri. So this is a team that can end up with 17, 18 wins in the conference. Regional host. What do you think?
Oh, definitly. Yeah.
Isn't their RPI kind of questionable?
They're behind us. I think they went. I thought I wrote it down. I think they dropped. They're a little bit behind us, but if they're in the top 20, it's 18 or 19. We're up to 12 after last night, but I think the challenge is right now there are 8 SEC teams in the top 20 in the RPI. last year we capped out. I think we had did we have 7? Is that what I said earlier today? I tweeted about it. I think there were 7 regional hosts last year.
And right now D1 has 7 hosting.
7 hosts. Okay, probably South Carolina being one, and us not. And if you look in the RPI standings, I think we're the 6th highest SEC team. It's just the optics of that record, so a lot of it to me is going to depend. There was that other one that was put out today. They had Nebraska in there as a host. Not, again, I mean, that'd be kind of a token thing to do. Depends on, are there going to be 2 West Coast teams? You're going to get 5 from the ACC as opposed to 4. That one had 6 SEC teams, which I think will, do we get 6? Do we get 7? But State certainly can sweep Missouri at home. I think would probably be expected to. That puts them at 17 at a minimum. If you get 1 at Arkansas this weekend, you're at 18. Now, if they get whitewashed this weekend, that's going to set them back a little bit, I think. But how do you think they finished, Drew?
I think they will finish with a good enough record to host.
Okay.
Probably, what are they for? You said they're 14?
14-10 now.
So I'm going to say minimum 17 and 13, probably 1 at Arkansas and 3 against Missouri. So 17 or 18.
17 or 18. Hunter, you think they get through 17?
Pretty much agree with Drew. I think they'll probably get 1 at Arkansas and then probably sweep that last series against Missouri.
Yeah. Megan,
I agree. D1 has them as a 12 seed right now, which I think is high.
Yeah.
But they'll be hosting.
Okay. Roger?
Yeah, I'd say 18 and 12, which if you don't host with 18 and 12 in SEC, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, they're putting together a pretty remarkable season, kind of quietly, honestly, and it's just kind of gotten their act together the last few weeks. Escaping there with a win, very big. It just, again, the circumstances around it, kind of nothing like it that we've ever seen. All right, we're done with Mississippi State, so I'm going to lose the mask. I think we're through talking about them. I'll leave our sponsors up again: Imodium, Saltines, Premium Saltines, Gatorade Zero. This is the best if you're sick. And then I think this is like great value chicken noodle or cream of chicken there, maybe Publix. Troy. All right, 2 of you were there. The rest of us weren't. We all watched very interestedly. Obviously, this is 8 in a row now. We've beaten Troy, which you may be like, oh well, it's just Alabama. It's a in-state team, and it's in a different conference. Not a big deal. That's a big deal to beat these guys 8 in a row. Megan.
Yeah, I mean Troy's good. The games are always weird. Last night, including in that, you can't ever be mad beating a team 8 times in a row.
Right. 3rd straight 1-run game, I guess. Right.
8-7 and 7-6 this year, and then the Tommy Seidel.
Yeah.
We beat them by more than 1 last year, didn't we? Wasn't it 12-9?
Well, I guess I made that throw. We did. Did we keep score?
Yeah. Because Pinckney had the 2-run, the hit, and someone else hit him in. So, yeah, I think it was 12.
I got you. Okay, I had it as a 1-run in my mind.
Yeah.
They made the play over. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of flowers for Tremion Cobb.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're positioning themselves, I think, in most of these mocks that you see or these projections. They're a 2 or 3 seed in some regional. Depending on where they place them. I saw one today that had us with them, and one of us the 2 and one of the 3. I'm like, oh hell no, we don't want that. But they're 2 games back in the Sun Belt going into the. I don't know if this is the last weekend, if they got 2 more weekends of play behind Louisiana. Maybe catch them, maybe not. They just had a head-to-head with them. The crowd there, they were promoting this as it was a sellout. It didn't look like the seats were sold out. What did y'all see there? You 2 that were there.
It was like behind us and behind the plate in those sections. There was 400 or 500 empty seats.
Okay.
for sure.
Their outfield, I will say, was probably 5-6 rows deep, which
Oh, was it? Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
elevated at all. So I don't know why you'd want
They
to go
don't-
6 rows back.
They don't
but-
charge. So I had
Mm-mm.
texted a buddy because I used to cover Troy when I was in the liberal media. And so I've got plenty of connections there and covered so many games there. Now I haven't seen since it's been renovated, but I said, I saw the same thing you did, Paul, and Hunter on TV. But my buddy said that a lot of them were on like the big party deck down the third base line,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
also the inside of the club level. So,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe they just bought all the tickets away to keep Bammers out of the stadium. But yeah, behind the outfield, like they need to figure a way to maximize that revenue because those are free
Yeah.
seats. I know it's a big cookout. It's like a
They
like a
could
duty noble out there, but
Mhm.
they need to figure a way to get some
well,
money out.
they've got to elevate it somehow because
Yeah,
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like a parking lot out there.
there's room. There's room to do it too.
There's room.
plenty of
Yeah. Yeah.
But the renovations and the new seating and everything is very nice.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down
Yeah.
right field, I don't know what they say down the right field line. They hang 300. It's really 290. Like
Is it?
they're not going to say that. There's a road right behind that, but they cannot go any further unless they just do something with the road. But
Mhm.
it's 290. They say, but they hang 300 or maybe
It's
290.
27 foot high wall, I think is what they said.
They were hanging 310. On the
Yeah, it was 310
Okay.
and 340.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
300 down the line. Then
Yeah.
I knew. It was
Hunter,
like
you been to
10
the game
feet
there?
off.
You ever been there?
I have not been down to Troy for a game.
Never been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the big wall, which is not as high as a lot of Green Mountain.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
the big scoreboard. If you hit it off the scoreboard, it's in play.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
You have to hit it over the scoreboard or up into the netting that's in the at the top where
Yeah.
ornate shape things. If it hits up there, it'll hit a net and may bounce back in. So they have to determine.
They have to
The umpires are going to
have to review them. Yeah.
see it that it actually hit up there, which is kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Right.
There's no yellow paint mark or anything that,
Right.
that it went over.
So, we see Troy every year. We see him twice. We see him on Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's not like our best arms are going against their best arms. Probably advantage us just because realistically we should have better pitching depth and be able to go, 8, 9 deep, 7, 8, 9 deep in our pitching staff where they stereotyping shouldn't. And so probably, advantage us, a tough team. I was real impressed with their approach at the plate. And I said this, of course, to Token Barner Evelyn, who was like, "What are you talking about?" And late in the game, we finally won one of these battles where it was, it was a 0-2 count. And they foul a couple balls off, and then we throw a ball, and we throw another ball, and they foul a couple balls off, and we get to 8 or 9 pitch at bat. We were losing those battles, and there were several of them early on in that game where you get to 7, 8, 9 pitches in the at bat. And eventually we give up a walk or we hit a guy or something. And we finally won one late that I thought was really key. But the approach of those guys as hitters was really good. And you just feel like, if you had to play these guys 3 games on a weekend against their Friday night guys and their Saturday night guys, they've got arms. You just didn't see them like you would normally see last night. Any interest in ever bringing them up and doing like we done with South Alabama before to do a 3-game set in the preseason rather than doing the midweeks? You like to see that?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know if they probably would go for it, but they probably want a game in Montgomery or something. It'd be more challenging than playing Binghamton or some of these teams.
Yeah.
But
Shout out Owen Parliament, Binghamton, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just something I thought about. A couple of things we saw. Snell threw really well the first couple innings. I guess I heard or read in one of the articles that maybe his back was a kind of some issue with his back. Wasn't affecting how he swung, but it was affecting him when he threw.
They said he's been having that issue for.
Yeah, our buddy Mark Etheridge wrote that on D1 Baseball, and he said he's going to have an article tomorrow on how they overcame the illness. and all
Yeah.
that.
Should be good.
So-
Good. Yeah.
Mark's, despite what our buddy Grant Schultz thinks, is a friend of the Weekly Joe podcast, and, an all-around good guy.
I don't think he was having it. But Cade also at the time, he looked, I mean, he was sweating
Sweating.
through everything, and they were trying to force fluids on him when he went out there and tried to get on the mound.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, you're not going out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Stayed in and swung the bat, but just couldn't go. You saw that all weekend in the Mississippi State game. Every guy that came out of the pen or even warmed up in the pen, they're just drenched. I mean, they're just they were just fighting through it. So again, always a tough team. A lot of free passes in this game. Let me count up real quick. And Rob talked about this and said, their coach would probably say the same thing. We walked 5 guys. I think we hit 3 of their guys. They walked 9 of us and they hit 3 of us. I mean, we get 12 free passes, and still have to, still a dogfight to win it. Even though you get 12 free passes, of course, you gave them 8. Good outing by Zane Probst. Again, the walks are it's a little frustrating when you see these guys come in. They got a 5-0 lead. It wasn't a 5-0 at the time. And we start walking guys, and that maybe to me is one of the biggest difference in the pitching staff this year is what we saw last year kind of down the stretch. Is just Hunter, your thoughts on this? I mean, it feels like we don't deal with good fortune very well when we got it.
I would agree, but I still feel like we're positioning ourselves better and better, despite the fact that we have lost some arms. I feel like we're starting. Moses stepping up last night. We're starting to see guys that we need to step up big do so.
Yeah. The Braylon Myers outing and the pulling that off in the ninth, and again I had a little bit my thoughts were okay. Braylon's given up a lot of home runs lately. You get a guy on and then you give up a bomb, game over, right? And that ball was tanked pretty good out in the right center, and TJ ran it down and managed to throw the guy out after he kind of straight off base. Here's the other thing I saw in the game. Okay, we're charged with 1 error. I don't remember who had it. Probst. Oh, it was pickoff. Yeah, we had to reset the counter. The counter got reset. It had been a while. It had been a few weeks, but the counter got reset last night on the pitchers throwing pickoff errors. But there was one inning in particular. We had about 3 plays that should have been outs that didn't go in the books as errors.
Yes.
It was just brutal.
The fly ball down the left field line, and then the ball. I don't know what TJ did. He overran that ball and tried to comport himself backwards. And just, well, I mean, it was like
no wind there last night. Was it windy? No,
Not really. No.
Are the lights are they pours? Are there lights?
The lights were real weird in that the middle part of the stadium wasn't lit up, and so there was a lot of shadows happening. So maybe that was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But how about our guy Trutz going out and making the Winnie Dykstra dive triple saving catch and
play of the year? Yeah. I mean, what a catch! Yeah. He's a DH out there playing left field, but he's gotten better with his range and getting to balls. I mean, his arm strength, it is what it is. I mean,
right?
Maybe work on that in the off season, but he's gotten a lot better at least tracking balls down.
Right. So to overcome that, I mean, again, that one inning, all that happened in one inning. The pop up that Ian probably could have had, the one that TJ overran, and then we had double play ball that inning, and we just didn't handle it real well. And the throw from second to first was not good. No error, but
looked to us like Bryce didn't get it there.
Yeah,
in a timely fashion. I mean, I don't know, double clutched or what, but it didn't seem like. Because it seemed, I mean, he had the range to his left a little bit, but it seemed like with his arm and with Ronnie's arm that they should have.
You like to have a rhythm there, and there wasn't a rhythm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure when you practice it again and again, you like to see a rhythm. But 3 out. I mean, we basically gave him 6 out to that inning, if you think about it, and still overcame it. We jump out to a 5-0 lead. They, next thing you know, it's tied up. Another, what can you say about Bill Hammiter out there, professional batsman Bill Hammiter on his farewell tour?
What a comeback! He's
Where legends are made. Yeah.
yes. I mean, for 6 hits his last 3 games and a couple bombs and a double and really nice running catch out in the outfield.
Yeah. He's
a lot of for that ball.
Yeah, and they were wearing him out defensively. I think maybe it was the last inning. It was either 8th or the 9th. He was it was the 8th. I think it was when they got a couple, off of Austin. They got a couple of hits, and he was having to run to the corner and get after it. Really good to see. I mean, a 5-year guy in your program, who has been in the lineup, had some injuries, and has been out of the lineup, but always seems to be. When you need him, he's there, right? I mean, it's just a 5-year guy. You're not going to see many 5-year guys in programs like this anymore. I mean, he's kind of a throwback. Hunter, your thoughts on the Bill Hammiter farewell tour as it is?
I mean, I was honestly shocked that he came back for the 5th year anyway, and did not think that we would be seeing him play significant ABs, especially after the way that SEC play started. But to see him go out on a strong note, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah. Drew, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he had such a rough go of it in the Tennessee and the Georgia series, or Tennessee and Georgia series.
He was DHing early, right?
He was batting 5th, and he was just not getting it done. And a lot of tweets probably need to be deleted. May or may not have gotten rid of some myself, but his turns out, hey, it's just a slump. He got a few good pinch hits here, and I think he really needs to be our right fielder going forward for the rest of the year, just because of the way he's hitting the ball. And Slight's had his struggles lately. Hammiter's got a pretty good arm out there. I mean, I think what they did against the last game of last week, I think it was, we started Hammiter and Wright, and we put in Slight to finish it up. Before, gosh, I can't. Ole Miss last week.
Ole Miss, yeah.
I think that's probably what we need to do going forward. But I'm not a coach.
Roger, you were saying something.
I that's what I expect will happen. And possibly even if you say bring Evan in at 8th and 9th inning for defense, move Hammiter over to left.
Yeah. For better defense. Yeah.
He's not Tommy Seidel, but it's an upgrade over.
It's an upgrade. I'd love to. You guys really. I mean, TV didn't do his home run justice last night, and I've seen a lot of home runs over that right field monster, but it really seemed like last night was an absolute missile.
Yeah.
It was never, there was never a doubt.
He wrecked it. Yeah.
Such a big hit too. I mean, it's 5-5 and then lefty, and he just crushes it. And
there goes momentum. You're right. I mean, they got all the momentum, and that just flips it immediately, and we kind of carry it through the rest of the way. So again, good team, very good team. Troy. I mean, nobody look at this as a team we're playing midweek. Beating Troy is a big deal. That's a good team. They're going to make some noise wherever they get sent, regional wise. Like I mentioned, that's 8 in a row that we've beaten them. Midweek games. So obviously we did have one canceled, the Jack State game. We finished 9-3 in midweek games. That's good. We've had years where we lost 4 or 5 of them. A couple of them are kind of inexplicable. How we came out flat against UAB. We blew a big lead against South Alabama. I think given the pitching injuries, the fact everything going on this week in particular, finishing 9-3, I'm good with that. How about y'all?
Yeah, 20-4 and out of conference.
Yeah.
Only other one was the Dallas Baptist.
DBU, right. Yeah, Hunter, Drew, you get to Hunter. You good with 9-3? I mean,
I'll take it. We've certainly done worse in years.
Yeah. Megan,
pretty standard.
Yep. Megan, 9-3 work for you?
We'll take it.
You want 12-0, I know, but
always.
All right. One thing I touched on a little bit because it's 2 games in a row. Tyler Fay struggling. What do you see there? It's got to be mechanical, right? I mean, it's. I don't think it's mental because of the kid is like he seems like he's a flatline heart rate. Got to be mechanical, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, probably some confidence issues too. I mean, I think it's more than two outings in a row.
Yeah. The last 2 have been rough. Last night he just couldn't get over the plate. You think they? So what do you think? If you're JJ, are you sitting down with him today in the film room? You're kind of breaking it down, or I mean, Hunter, you pitched a little bit. Mechanically, do you get into a rut? You find the legs dropping 6 inches left of where it should be, or the arms hanging down, or I mean, what are you thinking?
Sometimes you just go. I mean, the same way that hitters have slumps. Sometimes pitchers are going to just go through a little bit of a period where they're just not able to locate, and I'm hoping that's what's going on with him. If there is something mechanically, hopefully JJ can find it and get him back to where he was earlier in the year.
Yeah. Guys, any thoughts on him?
Is his velocity down? It seems like it is.
Yeah.
Little.
Little tired arm maybe as you get it.
Yeah, I mean, I know he redshirted last year, but you're playing in what I presume is not Alabama 7A baseball in some town in Nebraska. So it's a big ramp up in intensity over a couple of years. So I think he's just kind of hitting a wall. I don't know if it's injury related. I mean, he's pitching, so I guess he's healthy enough to pitch. But I think he's just kind of hit a wall, and maybe this weekend we can knock these guys out of the park and not
find a spot for him.
Clutch situation. But I feel like we probably will need to use him.
Yeah, maybe you find him if you can get him in a low leverage situation. The problem is Sunday. Forget Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The whole thing was high leverage, just because you got to win that game. Last night, I'm sitting here. I felt like last night, like I did watching the Troy game in last May or June, whatever it was. The problem is you can't find him a low or medium leverage situation just to go get you an inning, right? You got to simulate it or something, and you need him because you don't have Matty Ice. I mean, although we've seen him out there throwing some, I don't.
Real close already.
I think Matty Ice. There's a chance he might have. You have to ask me where I heard this when we get off this podcast. I think he might have been ready to go last night if they'd gone into extra innings. Mark somebody. Of course, Mark Jennings. I think we might see him soon. I hope so.
Okay. Yep. Yep. I did notice. So he didn't have the sleeve on the arm that he was throwing with. Maybe it's the Ole Miss series when he was kind of warming up out there. So he didn't have that last weekend. Good sign, maybe. Again, you just don't know what the extent of it is, and if it's something that they're just not going to take a chance with. But hopefully we get him back if it's in his best interest. We mentioned Hamiter, we mentioned Faye. RPI, we got a lift from the RPI last night, go up to 12 last night in the RPI. These midweek games late in the year can be a real bugaboo for you. I saw Utah lost to somebody like Utah Tech or whoever the hell it was. And they dropped like 7 in the RPI last night. NC State had a big dip. They dropped like 4 in the RPI. I don't know who they played. Duke got a big jump. They beat East Carolina, I think, on the road. So probably good timing for that game last night to get that RPI lift with Troy. It certainly didn't hurt things. But sitting 12 going into this weekend, and that kind of segues into LSU. 9-15 in the SEC. They're 5-9 on the road. All right, a little bit like us. They're struggling on the road a little bit. They're 35 in the RPI. I mentioned they're what did I say? There were 8. I think 8 top 20 RPI teams right now. I think Ole Miss is in the next 10, and then LSU's 35. So they're sitting back there a little bit. They finished with us, on the road with us. And then they get home at Ole Miss with Ole Miss. They've got to look at that schedule and think, hey, if I can get 2 out of 3 on the road and sweep Ole Miss at home, I'm 14-16. I'm maybe back in the running here, right? I mean, so this is a team with something to play for, Megan.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but
no,
it never is. I mean,
never is.
They're getting hot at the right time, but I'm not worried. I mean, I don't think it's going to be easy, but I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Get a little more healthy the next couple of days.
Yeah, that definitely helped. And sir, did the team stay overnight last night, or did they end up coming back?
They went straight back.
They bust back. Okay, good. So I mean,
Yeah.
so think about it. You slept in your own bed Tuesday night, Thursday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, 3 nights, and hopefully we're through this by Friday. It's hard to come back from that sort of thing. I mean, I mentioned my experience with it in high school, 10 years ago. But it was a week to 10 days later, you were still not feeling just right from that. So I mean, these guys obviously got a lot more focus on themselves and health wise, and people kind of to help them get better. But hopefully it gets them going. But again, a team with a lot to play for, because really just about every game for them from here on out is kind of feels like an elimination game. They took 2 out of 3 from A&M last weekend at home. They're 10-3 since getting swept by Tennessee the weekend of the 12th through the 14th of April. So the last 4 weekends, 3-4 weekends, they're 10-3. They've won their last 3 SEC series, mind you. Missouri, Auburn, 2 teams that might get left home, Hoover weekends, but then of course A&M. Luke Holman, the return of Luke Holman. How do you feel about that? We talked a little bit about that last week. Hunter, you're muted.
Muted.
Yeah, unmute.
I feel like such a boomer. Yeah, I do plan on getting after him a little bit. He did leave us, so.
All right, Drew. Your thoughts on it? I mean, we're going to see him. I mean, he's
I hope he gets
talent.
booed relentlessly. I hope he has a nice pro career and makes a lot of money. And but I hope he. I don't think he will. I'll explain this when you ask us for a prediction.
Oh, okay.
But,
okay.
I hope we boo him tremendously, and I hope he wilts under the pressure. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Cade Woods is barely pitched this year. I can't imagine he'll throw this weekend.
No.
Don't even know if he'll be on the travel roster. Probably not. But yeah, LSU, they're playing a lot better. They are. I mean, obviously they're the name on the front of their jersey. They still have Tommy White and a couple pretty good players. Key's going to be with their Friday pitcher, that lefty Gage Jump, getting on him, getting him out maybe in the 4th or 5th. If we can do that, I don't think they're too deep in the bullpen. Griffin, whatever. First name Griffin's pretty good. Atkinhusen's got an injury. I don't know if he'll be back, but
Christian Little's out there.
He's gotten better. He's like a 21-year-old 5th-year senior, transferred from Vanderbilt. But we've beaten better teams at home, so I think we can do it again.
You mentioned this. If you could get to you take Luke and of course you take Jump. I mean, Jump will probably go Friday, and then Luke probably goes Saturday. If you get to them early, if you could run those guys in the 3rd or 4th inning like we did the A&M starters, I think it's an entirely different weekend than we have with A&M, because I don't think they've got the offensive firepower to overcome that. I don't think you're going to see them put up 18 runs like an A&M team did. Yeah,
Prager for A&M came in with better overall credentials than Gage Jump is. I don't really know who's been pitching better lately. Haven't paid that much attention. Jump's been pretty good. But if we can figure a way to do to him what we did to Prager, they don't have the bats, obviously, that A&M has. So I like our chances if that happens.
Right. Statistically, and I do this every week, and I give them the business if they do this. LSU, for all their as well funded as their program is, and seemingly having it together with a great stadium NIL, they're poorest because they don't break out their statistics between conference and non-conference on their splits. I have to dig it out of the SEC side to get it. They're actually 250. They're batting 255 in the conference. We're hitting 292. All right. So we're 37-ish points above them. They're 6.33 ERA in the conference. We're 7.10. So mentally, maybe it feels like we're going to have some shootouts potentially. They have walked as batters, as hitters. I mean, they've walked and struck out both a lot more than we have either. And they walk a lot, but they strike out a lot, kind of risk reward. 41 homers in SEC play. We've only hit 36. Their big bats are guys that have been around. They're the guys from last year. They Tommy White, Jerry Jones, Hayden Travinsky, that's a catcher, right? So you look up and down statistically, and it's for all you hear about LSU being kind of the transport portal team, and you go up and down that roster. We saw that in that Chum said this earlier today. Their roster, I think I counted. Did you look at that? It was like maybe 12 guys that were transfers in that program. We got like 16. Does that ring a bell? So that the thought that they're built by the transfer portal. Tommy White obviously came, and Holman came from elsewhere. There's still kind of a developmental type program. You get guys in and you develop them over there. I mean, you're going to turn guys over and they're going to fill up positions, but it's not like it's not like A&M was, right? It's not just built by the portal. Holman and Jump, give me a better Friday, Saturday combo than them right now in the conference.
Arkansas's?
Maybe. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Probably because Friday's so good. It doesn't matter what Saturday
is. Mississippi
maybe,
State. I mean,
State right now, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's as good as just about anybody, right? I mean, so Holman with a 2.84 ERA, a Jump at 3.76. Jump has probably thrown better than Luke the last few weekends since they've kind of gotten to this little streak. But kind of beyond that, like you mentioned, the trouble starts. It's if you got the key is going to be get on them early, run up their pitch count, get them rattled. Hopefully we have good crowds there this weekend. It sucks that school's out and students aren't going to be there. We're not going to have as big a crowd in the outfield. But there are 100,000 people listening to this podcast, and hopefully they all show up. Predictions. What do you think? Which of the two between Holman and Jump? Which of the two do we get to better? Hunter, who you got? Who do we hit?
Henry after Holman. Mm-hmm. I mean, he knows these guys. I mean, he knows these guys, but our guys know him. So yeah. I think we're gonna, he's gonna be throwing to the guy who was, he's gonna be pitching to Mac, the guy who was calling his pitches last year.
Yeah. Okay. Roger, you got some thoughts on this, Roger?
Well, I mean, Mac and Hodo and Eblin are the only guys who.
Yeah, a lot of these guys hadn't seen him.
I guess a good point.
Amateur now too. So.
Yeah, Hammy. Yeah, right. Drew, who do we get? Do we get to Holman or we get to Jump?
My prediction is 2 of 3, and I think Holman, Scott Murphy's us.
Okay. All right. Megan?
I think we get a good enough crowd. We're taking all 3.
All right. Like Gump your way through it all. Scott Murphy, go back to Drew. We talked a little about him last week. Give the obviously people.
Yeah, he was our weekend guy. Friday, he was a mainstay for us Friday and Saturday, or his freshman and sophomore years, and it was 99 and 2000, and then he leaves the program, transfers to Georgia, and he pitches a complete game. I think they beat us like 8 or 9 to 1 on Sunday. We were going to sweep him, but Murphy just put it to us.
Right.
He went here that his sophomore, junior, or like before he left one year, he won like double-digit wins.
Yeah, I think so. Sounds right.
Yeah. Pitching matchups, if you think about it. Looks like Ferrone's probably going, in that Friday slot. So Ferrone's going to go against Jump. It's a pretty good matchup. Adams and Holman. I mean, and then Hess against whoever the hell they throw out there Sunday. If that's the way we go, what's our best matchup there? Probably Sunday.
Yes.
Yep. Does it concern you? You got Adams, again, a young freshman. He's been solid at home, really good at home. I mean, obviously, but a pretty veteran team he's facing. Does that concern you a little more?
He's been nails, man, since he stepped into that role. He's been really good. I'm not worried about it.
Right. Megan?
No, I mean, Arkansas is a much better team than LSU when St. Adams wasn't faced.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the questions. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Roger.
He's another one of the low heart rate guys. I mean, he doesn't get. Other than except, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Let me cover this real quick. So predictions. So I think we covered. Everybody got a prediction in. I've got a. We're taking.
I'm 2 out. I don't think I said mine. I'm 2 out of 3.
All right, we're 2 out of 3. Right.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Drew.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Megan with.
And I hope I'm wrong on the Murphy and Holman deal.
Yep. Usual sweep from Megan. So we're all there. Hess, is Hess on track? You think he carries it over into this weekend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Megan.
Yep.
Yep. Drew.
Yeah, and I think we get him some runs too.
Yep. All right. Faye, what do we get out of Faye this weekend? Does he get back on track?
I hope so.
Who's gonna say no? Like, I think he will.
His parents are the nicest people. I'm damn sure not going to say no. I sat with his parents, Saturday or Sunday or one of those days.
Nice, like typical Midwest Nebraska.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Nice. I'm sure they're listening.
Yeah. Well, they might.
Yeah.
Know how sweet Chloe is. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
in town. So
Yeah. Right. And then their daughter was there with them, and she goes to Grand Canyon, who we were, saying terrible things about during the basketball season, which maybe, hope she don't follow me on Twitter. Anyway, nicest people in the world. Really, second time I've been around them. Our guy, Jalen Prince, had a question. How impressive y'all been with the growth of LeBron and Adams this season? I got one on Adams on this in particular. Thoughts on Bronny?
I mean, we knew he was good.
Yeah.
First time I saw him, I knew it. I mean, there was no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I think none of us probably thought he was going to hit as many home runs as he had.
Hitting. Yeah. Young guy, shortstop, defense is defense, right? But hitting SEC pitching is a whole other thing. Defense is the same wherever you play. I'm like that. I mean, the hitting has just been gravy, but now we got true freshmen sitting in our 3-hole now in SEC play. Really impressed with that. Zane Adams, I'll take this one first. The thing I think about Zane Adams that's really impressive is how many teams are throwing out a true freshman as a starter in the SEC right now. I mean, rosters are so much older. If like us, I mean, it was like, all right, we need an arm. Let's go get him. We go get Greg Ferrone. All right, we go get him. There's one of our weekend starters. Hunter, what do you think of that?
What was the question again? Sorry, I was doing. I was a bit ready.
Jalen's just asking how impressed have y'all been with the growth of LeBron and Adams, and I'm kind of on Adams. I mean, the thought of a freshman out there doing what he's doing in today's game, where you're facing fifth year guys that are.
In an ideal world, he would be throwing midweeks this year, but
absolutely
with Quick's injury, it's just like a next man up mentality, and I'm really glad that we had him in that role, ready to be there. Yeah,
Drew, thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's come a long way from that Tuesday game at Southern Miss where he barely lasted an inning, he couldn't even get out of the second inning. So it's been pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Scott Pomeroy asks us, do y'all have concerns about left-handed relief pitching in the postseason? Thoughts? Megan?
I mean, it's all going to fall how it's going to fall. Tyler Fay will figure it out. Maddie will be, I think Maddie will be back. I think it's going to help.
Yeah. So Maddie's the key. Roger, thoughts on that? Left-handed relief pitching in the postseason?
Yeah, it had to be Heiberger comes back strong. AD and use Kenty more. Yeah. I mean, when you get into these compressed weeks like the SEC tournament, and you're playing, God forbid, I mean, you're playing 4 games over 4 or 5 days. I mean, these guys are going to be called upon.
They're going to get chances.
They're going to get their shots. Yeah, and it's going to be high, medium leverage, high leverage. It's not going to be, it's Alabama State on a Wednesday in February or whatever. But yeah, I think the key to me there is Matty Ice, and does Matty get back or not?
Snell, don't forget about him.
Snell,
He's an option now. We don't have any more of these silly midweek games.
Yeah, we discount that because I mean Snell's been throwing midweek and I mean looked really good last night till he tightened up and you figure at this point he's ready to go and face a challenge. Maybe you get a Hunter Furtado legacy game like he got in the SEC tournament last year, or the Cade Woods legacy game we got, whichever game that was that he was so good.
Last
year. Yeah. Hess in the Georgia, was that 22? Hess against Georgia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. DG, who is PMTRK 1790. So PMTRK, bunch of numbers. I asked, do you think we will have trouble keeping LeBron and a couple of others after the season from other teams dropping a bag to get them? We talked a little bit about transfers and NIL, and I had a question from someone earlier in the week, who's it important to keep? Well, to me, there's some foundational players on this team. LeBron, one. Zane, two. AD, because he's just got one more year, and he's going to get they're going to tempt him like they did, a Kobe Shelton or somebody like that. What are your thoughts? We don't have to, obviously this is going to play out. Like it's going to play out. We're going to do what we can to keep them. But do you think we're going to struggle with this?
I feel confident in those three.
Yeah. And if we keep those three, I'm happy.
I feel real confident.
Yeah.
And Riley, of course, but with his injury, he wouldn't have probably have a lot of people sniffing around anyway. But
right.
And even like go down to Bull, guys like that. Particularly the in-state guys, I feel pretty strong about. But and Zane as well, just because situations. I think we're in good shape to keep those.
Yeah. Drew, you think obviously we'll lose somebody we don't expect to lose. It's just like football and, guys going off to Ohio State or wherever the hell. Drew, your thoughts on it? Is it going to be are we going to be mad this offseason?
I don't have any insight into this whatsoever, but from what I can tell, I think baseball, you're more likely to keep your key guys at bigger programs. I think Luke left because of the head coaching change. Colby, don't know that whole deal. I hope so. And I hope we get Troy's catcher if he decides to go into the portal. I know he's got a year left. I always watch these games. I'm thinking, man, I hope we get this guy next year. Aiden Mosa was one of those guys a couple years ago. We got him. But I think baseball's. Maybe some of these guys come from more money, and maybe that has something to do with it. But I really think a lot of times in baseball they stay more together.
Right, Megan. Do you think it's the baseball side of things here? There aren't too many programs probably throwing around a lot of money for baseball. Obviously, one got a couple of our guys last year, but one key guy. Do you think we win the offseason in this battle? We come out net ahead. I think we did last year, honestly.
I think overall we'll be fine. We're going to lose guys to the draft. We're going to lose quite a few graduating, but our key pieces. The benefit of having in-state guys is that it's like Rob said from the get-go, that A means something to them. And
it does, yeah.
I think we'll be fine in the long run.
Yep. All right. Last question I had. Can we band together enough? This is Tyler Wilcox, Johnny MySpace. Can we band together enough Gumps to lay siege to Columbus? I'm assuming you're talking about Columbus, Mississippi. Everybody in. We got to go. We need to go raid Columbus and exact revenge. Or we just need to give that off to Roll Tide Willie to handle.
Yeah, I think Willie can handle it.
All right, good. All right, enough of listening to questions. Thank you to everybody that we got thousands of those, and I just answered those three. Our guy Owen Parliament, you have an update, Hunter?
Yeah, they had a series this past week against New Paltz, which I'd never heard of New Paltz.
But probably better than Old Paltz.
Old Paltz, yeah. Old Paltz was the new one's much, much better. For the weekend, he had 11 at bats, only 2 hits, so the batting average has come down about 18 points. So need him to end strong here in the conference tournament.
Yeah. If Owen Parliament had been in an Alabama uniform on Saturday, where would he have played?
Wherever he wanted to.
Yeah. Probably first base. And then we wouldn't have gotten the Max Grant legacy game.
Yeah. All right. Maybe so. All right. And last but not least, Drew, you've been in touch again with your good friend Mark Jennings at Mark Jennings 55 on Twitter. the best in the business. Again, everywhere I go, you were reminded of the just the magnitude, the cultivation of wealth. I mean, I saw Dippin' Dot stands at Starkville this weekend. Obviously, Mark's got a hand in that.
Hopefully, they were about $12 a Dippin' Dots, or $12 for a small.
Oh, and people just they're just raking. I mean,
did they have the batting helmets, like the protective batting helmets?
Yep.
Okay.
Anywhere there are people spending money. I mean, Mark is obviously in the middle of it. Player comparisons. You've talked to him this week again.
Yep.
We got a few requests. How about this? We've talked about him a lot. Probably our greatest Canadian ball player in the history of Alabama baseball, Max Grant. Who's Mark's player comparison?
Yeah, so Max is a guy that he came to us. We were thinking he'd be a middle infielder, probably a second baseman, and maybe his best position might be first base. It looked pretty natural in some of those scoops out there. Obviously, when you come from Canada, there's the language barrier, or from anywhere outside of the 48 states, there's the language barrier. So you look at another guy. All these come from Mark Jennings. They're just passed along to me. Another guy who would have had to overcome a language barrier and went from being a middle infielder to being a first baseman, and that's Wilfredo Cordero. You might remember him as Will, W-I-L, Cordero. He played from 1992 to 2005.
Yeah, Hunter, you remember Will Cordero?
I remember Will Cordero.
Yeah. Played for the Expos and the Red Sox, and
it's a good comparison for Max Grant.
Also, another thing with Max that I would not seeing is potential, and I'm not saying this to hate on Hodo. I'm not doing that again. But maybe 8th, 9th inning defensive sub if you need to with Max.
Yeah. I tweeted about last night. Wasn't a shot at Hodo, it was a shot at whoever's positioning him. But I don't know why the hell we weren't guarding the line in the 8th and 9th inning last night.
Last night, that was big. That was a big play right there.
Yeah, I mean that's hit right at you if you're guarding the line like you should be. But yeah, Max with the executed that 3-4 or 3-6 or whatever it would have been throw down there that it was pretty damn smooth out there. Looked smooth. Yep. A couple others. Mark this week. Gage Miller has been a big find for us out of Bishop State. Who does Mark compare Gage Miller to?
Yeah, this is another good one. Mark had. You think back to the 1992 World Series. You guys remember that was the Braves and the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And this person was the hero of Game 2 in that with a game-winning home run. His name is Ed Sprague. You guys remember Ed Sprague?
Yeah, I remember Ed Sprague, Drew.
I remember that same Ed Sprague that played for the Blue Jays. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
Of
course, he had the same language barrier to go up there and play for the Blue Jays, coming from Castro Valley, California.
Yeah, because I think they speak. Don't they speak Canadian in Toronto?
They speak Canadian.
Yeah. And if I remember Sprague, he a little bit ahead of his time. I mean, all the guys kind of wear the flow. He kind of had the long locks back then, a little bit like Gage had early.
Yeah. He was married to a woman who was in synchronized swimming. She was an Olympic synchronized swimmer.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. A very, very good comparison from Mark Jennings.
Yeah.
In the final player we had for comparisons this week, Braylon Myers, Drew.
Yeah, Braylon Myers, he's listed. I don't have the roster in front of me. Listed at is he about listed 5'11", 200, something like that? Does that sound right?
He looks about like that.
One or so, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if he's taller or shorter or what, but so Mark compared him to a guy who won a World Series in 1987 with the Twins, played for the Braves, a World Series loser in 1991 and 1992. You guys may remember Juan Berenguer?
Yeah, Juan Berenguer, Senior Smoke, Juan Berenguer?
That sounds right. He had a
really
good
language
year.
Barrier. Juan Berenguer in Atlanta?
Yeah.
I mean, he probably spoke Mexican or something. Is that what was his...
Yeah, he played in the Mexican League in 93, 94. So thankfully he was not teammates with John Rocker. But his son plays hockey.
Good comparison. I think Juan Berenguer was the one they referred to as
Senior Smoke. That's him. Yeah.
I think that's
El Gasolino was another nickname.
Okay. Braylon's 6'2", 205, by the way.
6'2". Okay. He's a little bigger. Juan Berenguer was a pretty thick dude, if I remember right.
He might.
He's a little bit rotund. He had some trunk.
He might be playing with Jake on there in Mexico now. Some of those
Down
guys.
with Jake. Yeah, with Jake Walker.
Yeah.
Yep. We got Jake in Mexico. We got Tommy in Quebec. And then we got guys. We're nationwide. Man. We're worldwide at this point.
Yeah.
Gardner played in league last winter.
Yep. That's great. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks again to Mark Jennings for those player comparisons. I'm sure we'll have 3 more next week as we recap the LSU series and get ready for the season finale at the barn. We'll probably record. Maybe we'll record a little bit earlier next week because it's Thursday night. We go Thursday, Friday, Saturday with the barn. This weekend, all right, I'm doing it by memory. I think we're 6:00 Friday night. I think we are 4 on Saturday, and then we got a 1 on Sunday. All right. You got networks, Megan?
All SEC Network Plus, I believe.
Plus. All plus. All right. So we're not on the mothership.
So we got Roger and either Lance or David Kindred, I believe.
Yeah. Right. All right. So 6, 4, and 1 this weekend with LSU. Get out to the Joe. The last chance for the season. Absolutely. We win 6. We win 6 games. Maybe we're hosting. Who knows? But
Senior Day's on Saturday too, so come out and support our guys.
Yeah, support our guys. We have a lot of guys being honored at that game. They got some cool giveaways. Students won't be there, so we need the crowds there. Again, thanks to our sponsors: Imodium, Premium Saltines, Premium Chicken condensed by Publix, and then Gatorade Zero. Hopefully, we're back next week and we're all well, and nobody has to wear masks. And we're talking about a 2 of 3 or a sweep, and getting ready for the stretch run. Hey, thanks everybody. It was fun. Appreciate everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Participating. And we'll talk to everybody next week.
All time.
Thanks for joining us.